Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lunch Tech and Chat, and I've got my friend Will here as usual. Will, how you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Good,
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about agent mode in ChatGPT, and yeah, and then there's the new study mode. So we'll quickly touch on those things. I know we don't have a lot of time today, so this is gonna be a short episode. I have been trying out the ChatGPT agent mode. I don't know if you have used it. Essentially, what it does is it creates a, let's say, virtual machine inside ChatGPT with browser access, and it can interact on behalf of a human. So, for example, our podcast from last week, I used agent mode to upload it for us. So what it did is it logged into my Riverside, downloaded the video, got the transcription, created a title and description using AI, created a thumbnail, and then it went to my Spotify for creators and uploaded the whole thing and put the episode live. So the only interactions that I had to do was logging into both platforms, but then Agent was doing everything else.
And okay, so essentially it takes I'm completely kind of like layman on the use of that actually agent mode, the one that has just been released to all of the different users and user tiers within ChatGPT. But it's essentially what it does. It's doing some of the like the control functions that you had already on the operators, but actually through the agent. Is that kind of like a
Yeah.
way to say? Yeah.
So it's a mix of the operators, some thinking model, coding. So it's like they calling it an agent because it integrates everything that OpenAI has created so far in one place. So essentially, like the agent or the operator, but it's called agent mode. So the agent mode is essentially interacting with a browser and using all the tools and knowledge that OpenAI has so far. So it's pretty cool how it works, but it's just an evolution of operator, let's say.
But do you have actually to define the roles of the different agents within the agent mode itself?
No, it's one agent doing the whole thing and interacting with tools and other things as required. The thing that the thing that was a little bit of a downside is I couldn't manage to log into Google because I wanted it to upload our video into YouTube, but it just doesn't work. Google blocks the connection.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I haven't found a work around that. So there are some limitations. I was reading on I was reading on the internet saying that when they released, you could log into Google, but now Google somehow has blocked it. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
so you can't
So you cannot do like you cannot use your Google or authentication actually to go straight
no.
through
So it would
into.
be awesome, like if it could read my emails and read my calendar and do other things, upload videos on YouTube for me. But yeah, you can't pass the login screen; it just blocks you there.
But once you do the login, then actually it continues. It kind of like it picks up
No, you can't log
the
in. You can't
right.
log in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can't log in. So you can just interact like with any Google tools without logging with a user. When you get into the actual login page, that's when it doesn't work.
But it does all of like scraping of websites and all that kind of stuff for you as well, and finds the right one, the right ones. So I guess like walk me through a little bit because I haven't actually used that one. I've seen blogs, read posts about people saying like, well, the agent mode is gonna essentially kill a lot of the agent workflows that a lot of people have been essentially
Building?
building on their sites, like where should they kind of like doing directional flows or multi-directional flows of agents and etc. Building that as workflows. That actually this kind of initiative, and I'm expecting the other players will also release similar features, would kill some of those business that actually people being doing in terms of like automation of processes. But what do you think?
So right now, you can only run agent mode inside ChatGPT, which means that you're doing via the front end as a user. So essentially, the way that it works is you start with a prompt. You can't do it in a GPT or via API. You have to do it by the front end, but you start with a prompt. So let's say, log into my Riverside, find the latest video, download it for me, create a description, create a title, create a thumbnail, upload to me into Spotify for creators, and publish my episode. So what is it going to do is you can see it thinking. So as the so it's like reading what's happening on the screen, understanding like, and you see the reasoning, like it shows like a little box with the reasoning sort of assigned the pointer, so you see what it's thinking. So it says like, oh, I'm gonna click here to log in, and then it clicks, and then it asks you to interact, says, please log into your account. So you click, and now
Uh-huh.
you are in the VM. You go do the login and you say continue, and then it takes it over. So the login pages or like anything that it thinks that it needs a human, it will stop and ask for your interaction. The only interactions that I had to do was log into my to Riverside, log into my Spotify, and accepting the podcast to be published. Everything else it did by itself, which was pretty amazing. I found it
Yeah,
was
it's
pretty cool.
pretty cool. So you only had like a certain points of decision making there in the whole process.
And the good thing is, like, it takes me ages to publish those episodes because it just takes time, and time is
Yeah.
valuable. We don't have a lot of time. So, like, this morning, I opened up, I was like, oh, let's see if I can publish it. And then I left it running while I was working and just coming back to see if I had to do anything and just did it for me. So, it saved me so much time. I would love it if I could do it on YouTube. I don't know if there is a workaround somewhere. I will still try to investigate and see what I can find out, but at the moment, my understanding is that you can't do anything into Google. I haven't tried in Microsoft, so I don't know if Microsoft will block, but I hope it's not a new tendency that tech companies will block sort of those sort of automations interacting with their systems, because that would be pretty shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially if they just like develop things that would allow you to go straight through is within their systems, if it's like the Google kind of equivalent agents that they launch, or equivalent features, and actually then that part will go through all of the Google systems and Google Apps. But if you're interacting with like a different LLM or a different agent, then if you wouldn't, yeah, that would be pretty a pretty poor user experience, I guess, from
Yeah.
some of those.
The other thing that OpenAI has released this week was the study mode. I think it's called
Yep.
study mode or student mode or something like that.
Yep.
Study mode.
Yep.
So essentially, what it does is it's for students, but anyone can use it if you want to learn something. So you go and you say, I'm learning maths, or I'm learning science, or I'm learning development, or whatever
It is.
you want to learn,
Yep.
and it interacts with you, like taking you through a learning path, which is pretty cool. Like explain you things, give you ideas, generate images to explain. Like it does quiz back to you. It shows you, like, for example, if you're
Interesting.
doing maths, oh, do you want me to go step by step on how I did this one? And then you say yes. So it breaks down all the calculations, and then afterwards say, okay, let's try now you, and it gives you something to solve. So it's pretty cool. I think it's that might shape a new way of learning, which is not relying on learning institutions for you to learn new things that you want. I think
Yeah.
that could be a pretty cool thing if it evolves in the right way.
But how does it work with the hallucination part of that process? So when you put like when you put like on under the hood, I guess, like under the study mode, because I mean, as you know, despite all of the evolution of all of these models, there is still quite a bit of like BS that they output to you, and they hallucinate. Sometimes they go on like weird tracks unless you challenge it, etc., etc. So, I guess especially when it's on a learning mode, I mean, I don't know about you, but usually I'm learning something because I don't know. I'm not a subject matter expert on something unless I'm actually really going down very deep on a vertical that I already have a lot of I guess, pre-concepts that I already know well, and I'm actually going even deeper on those. Um, but most learners that actually are learning something new, they don't necessarily know what is bullshit and what is right. That's why they are learning. How does it deal with that?
That's a pretty good question. I don't know. It's a new feature, so I think we'll start seeing feedback as people use it. But I hope or I expect
Yeah,
that for OpenAI to be releasing this, they at least have some level of confidence that this is gonna work well. Because you're right,
yeah,
like the last thing that you want is the LLM tells you something, you sort of, I don't know, challenge it, and then it just changes the bias against yourself, and then you're learning things on the wrong way because
yeah,
now the model is being biased to your knowledge or the things that you believe is true. As
yeah,
long as, yeah, I don't know. It's a really good question. I haven't thought about that, but
yeah.
yeah,
Because
we'll
before
find
the
out as people
be-
start using, I guess.
yeah, because before the feature was launched, I was already using some of it actually for stuff that I do, for for learning or getting deeper into certain subjects or even like learning new subjects. But the way that I was doing it, and I'm still doing that way, is that actually indexing documentation. So more like an a reg type of like framework, like indexing a whole bunch of documentation, then is studying from the documentation that I know that comes from, I guess, trusted sources. And most of the work that the GPT is doing there is kind of like explaining already based on that index of documentation. What
Yeah,
is it? The steps to speed up, I think, the process of learning. So, for example, a lot of the stuff that I do is in finance. So of course, I go and look. For example, this morning, just as an example, this morning I was doing some work in the foreign exchange foreign exchange models. What kind of like foreign exchange models are used by proprietary trading desks for trading or arbitraging when essentially kind of like the price, the spot price on the market is different from uh, um, from what you can actually find into trading avenues. And actually, you can, I guess, arbitrage or do synthetic high frequency trading on those kinds of things. It's pretty kind of like, I guess, a narrow kind of like
mhm,
process. And what I do is like sometimes I just go, hey, give some ideas. And once I get a little bit more serious about, for example, implementing some of these strategies into my work, or of course, I want something a little bit more trusted.
yeah,
And then I should index documentation, be it academic writings or essentially kind of like books, etc. That actually I know that there's content on that subject, so that actually I can have a little bit more of that. I guess the process of having a
yeah. I,
proper
to be honest
learning.
with you, I haven't been using a lot of ChatGPT for learning purposes like you're doing. Usually use Notebook LM. So I index all my document sites or whatever, and then you can interact in the chat as a
Yeah,
learning experience. There's other things like you can generate quizzes and things like that, and you can
yeah,
also create as a podcast that, like, on your way home in the bus, you just keep listening about that subject.
yeah,
That's usually my way of learning. It's pretty
yeah,
cool that you're doing different than I am,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we haven't talked
yeah.
about this in the past. But it's interesting to see how the study agent's gonna work, and as I find more about it, I'll let you and the audience know.
Yeah, and probably we can probably at some point have a bit of like discussion about comparables as well. This vis-a-vis what the Anthropic is doing, because I know that Anthropic has been doing a lot of work in the with academic institutions mostly, like with universities, where they're helping students go through different models that actually universities teach, just to speed up the process of learning and also like I guess improve students' uh, capabilities, scores, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting.
I
Very,
was just
very,
gonna
very
say the
interesting.
biggest hypes that are happening right now is probably Grok 4 as the top model and has been in the charts for more than a week now, which is not usual. every time a model comes out, another one takes it over in a few days or max a week. So it has been top charts for a little bit longer than that. And I think OpenAI, not to lose the hype, has sort of announced, not officially, that GPT-5 is coming out in the next few days.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if they were planning to do that or if they just pushing forward because of Grok 4, but it's gonna be really interesting to see what comes out of it. And
yeah,
Grok has two modes, like they have like an advanced mode that you have to pay, I think it's like a $200 subscription or something like that, which seems like to be the top model. But that's pretty cool. And then all these big companies are pouring billions of dollars on data centers. So this race has just started, man.
yeah, yeah. I guess like it was the same with the agent mode, right? Like they released the features. They released the features early on for some of like those people that actually are paying $200, and then a month or 2 months later, they release across the board for everybody. So unless it's really kind of like you're doing something very, very kind of very specific in a vertical where you want to have
But
that
too expensive to run.
edge, where we want to have like the edge for those 1 or 2 months. I mean, I guess, most people actually get access to most features actually over time, right? So,
And
yeah,
this is the thing that sometimes disappoint me with Microsoft. Like Microsoft has created this whole ecosystem of wrappers on everything AI. But it's like there's just a lot of different like subscription models and pay models. Like you pay to use this, and this is an addition for that, and this one you can use this way and that way. I guess so complicated.
it is
I mean,
so
like both
complicated.
companies are Microsoft, so people will have to adapt or Microsoft adapt. But I just find so much easier if you use like OpenAI. You just pay one enterprise license. That's it. Everything's included. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of Microsoft and Azure services just because they always found it's still to this day that they always find always find them like more clunky, old style. For example, like basic things. Like I get it's the kids club. We can like organize like a roster, and people just like put like a spreadsheet in the roster, so actually you can share, you can do that kind of stuff. If you do that like through
Google.
like a Google, you get access actually to the spreadsheets straight away. You don't even have like to be logged in or anything like this. Just look in Microsoft is always shit. You have to log in, you have to create a thing. If you don't use it, you spend like half an hour trying to log in. The user experience is always shitty, I find, like in in that sense. So I don't use it. Like the same thing kind of happens a lot with, I guess, meetings. A lot of corporates kind of like use, um, you know, um, Teams, because of I don't know security and other features. But it's always shitty as well. You spend half an hour trying to log in into that stuff just to get into a meeting. Whereas like if you go on a Google Meet, you just like click button, start meeting, and you're in. Right? You don't waste any time. Like the whole just product development and product experience that you have through Google and some other places is just so much better. Like like
I do hope that Microsoft catches up because I think, they've got some good ideas. They are everywhere in the world, even in China. Like
yeah,
they need to catch up at some point. They need to sort out. Like they've got some good ideas. Like if you look at the products and the ways that they building the agent to workflow, workflows to agent, like it is good. The ideas are good. It's just clunky, and that's the
it's
stuff that
clunky.
they need to
Yeah,
sort out. They've got great ideas, amazing ideas. It's just they need to take the clunkiness away. I don't know how they do that. I do
yeah,
wonder once the partnership between OpenAI and Microsoft ends, what's gonna happen with Microsoft? I know they're trying to be like multi-model and etc., but it feels to me like they're still very reliant on OpenAI, like things that OpenAI creates, they release in Microsoft again. So yeah, I guess they're a big tech company. They've got billions of dollars. They just need to
Yeah,
get this shit together. And as Google did, like Google was behind everyone else in the AI race, and now they top charts with OpenAI. Like they just need to get their shits right. Like they've got enough money and brain knowledge to make things good, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah, and they are paying a lot for actually for the professionals actually also to do that kind of stuff. There's been a lot of talk around that as well.
Did
Um,
you see that? Did you see that? Well, OpenAI has like the biggest data center for. Oh, not OpenAI. Sorry, X Grok AI has the biggest data center Colossus for AI processing, and now OpenAI has closed a deal with the Middle East to build a massive data center in the Middle East, and they also closed a partnership with Oracle to use the Oracle data centers. So they started to take that, that reliance on Microsoft away. So they find new ways of keeping the whole thing alive. Like I think they're just trying to be, like cautious that this partnership is gonna end soon, I guess.
yeah.
But it feels like it's a new data center race at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, computation is at the basic of like all of those models. Just find it interesting to build data centers in the Middle East, where it's the hottest, and data centers actually warm up and use a lot of water. It is the place where you have the least water to use.
They should build data
Interesting
centers in
tackle. So
Alaska, man.
exactly right. So, or you're Antarctica, you don't have,
Yeah.
you don't have
Greenland,
exactly lack of water
under
in
the
those
sea. China
places.
did one under the sea, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Keep them cool. Yeah.
In the moon, imagine like having data centers in the moon, and then you have satellites just sending the data back to Earth, and everything is in the moon, low gravity, um, lot cooler temperatures. It would have to be fully automated, but that would be quite cool.
Yeah, you can use actually SpaceX actually to to bring in all the inputs actually to those build those data centers and then use SpaceX satellites actually to Starlink to be able actually
Starlink,
to
yeah,
transmit the data back to yeah, but
not a
that
bad
might be the
idea.
way.
Not a
Not
bad
a bad
idea.
idea. Here we go. There's a business
Nobody
model for
uses
us
the
for
moon
next
to
time.
anything anyway.
Yeah, here we go. Awesome. Yeah, yeah, just one last thing. I think that is related to some of the conversations that we've been having around agentic models. So um I'm um I'm still involved with like a community on the Outlier Ventures uh ecosystem, and one there's one blog that the team uh, wrote that I actually was reading this morning, which was actually quite interesting around how VCs, some VCs at least, are actually venture capital firms actually are thinking about investments in the agentic economy. So actually, they are starting to kind of like um, not necessarily think traditionally how they used to invest in companies, in the sense that you just like invest into invest into the founders, deploy capital into the founders and founders teams, and so on. But like with agents and seeing how much that is kind of like empowering a lot of teams, they're thinking much more about how they're gonna deploy capital um, to agent or agent systems, and those agent systems will manage, build, index, and portfolios around the startups that they invest in.
That's awesome. I think we're gonna
It's
have
pretty
to keep
crazy the
this
way
for
that
the
actually
next
thinking about.
podcast. We're gonna have
Yeah.
to keep this for the next podcast, but it's a really good segue for us to be talking about something next week. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we can actually drill down into what actually that means
Yeah.
next
So
time.
you'll start with that next week. Don't
Sounds good.
forget it.
Yeah, I want. I want.
All right. Thanks everyone. If you heard the whole thing, which wasn't a long podcast today, so I hope you did, just post in the comments AI data centers. Let's see. And yeah, I want to know from you, what are the new tools that you're playing with? What are the things that you would like us to talk about? And some people have been reaching out to us to be interviewed in this podcast. So if you do have that interest, please get in touch.
Yep.
And
And if
thank you.
and also if you want to keep I guess keep interest and who wants to continue doing all of the research and that we do to actually to do this podcast and presenting the latest of what is happening in tech and AI and Web3 and other industries. Yeah, and would like to sponsor the show as well. Please feel free also like to reach out to us, and we're more than happy actually to take a look at your and what you would like actually to participate in what capacity.
Cool. Thanks very much, Will. I need to go. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Yes.